Nancy Pelosi may be one of the most powerful names in American politics, but did you know her love life is just as accomplished? Yep, she and her husband, Paul Pelosi, have been going strong for over 60 years, and they've got 5 kids to show for it. Their story starts way back in 1962, when Nancy, then a student at Trinity College, met Paul, who was attending Georgetown University. They were both taking a summer class on African history at Georgetown School of Foreign Service. Pretty niche, right? By 1963, the couple tied the knot at the Cathedral of Mary Our Queen in Baltimore. Since then, they've built a life together that's weathered politics, parenting, and public scrutiny.
So you were married soon after college,
Yes.
And began a family.
Yes.
So what's the secret to staying married while juggling such a demanding career? According to Nancy, it's all about intention. A successful marriage is a decision, she once told the New York Times. You decide it's gonna work, and you have to make sure you are where you're needed most. Sometimes it's here, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's a tie and you have to prioritize, but it's always a decision. Now get this, they had 5 kids in just over 6 years. That's right. Alexandra, Paul Jr., Christine, Nancy Corinne, and Jacqueline all arrived in quick succession after the Pelosi's moved to San Francisco. Nancy actually paused her political ambitions to raise them, and she's made it clear that nothing, not even her role as speaker, compares to being a mom. There is no more important responsibility than raising a family, she said.
What was it like? What's it like not to wash your face some days? It was busy.
But fun.
Oh my God, glorious.
The kids have all grown into successful adults, too. Alexandra is a documentary filmmaker. Paul Jr.'s in business. Jacqueline teaches art. Christine's in law and politics. And Nancy Corinne stays out of the spotlight but is reportedly married to a businessman. A true power family.
So we were always expected to make sure that our homework was done and that we were prepared for what we did. She would always say, proper preparation prevents poor performance.
You had these little slogans?
We had these little slogans.
Meanwhile, Paul has kept a low profile, and that's intentional. He told the Washington Post that he's proud of his wife, but he sees no percentage in trying to share her spotlight. Instead, he's been the quiet force beside her. Sound familiar? Think Douglas Emhoff or Patrick Jackson, supportive spouses of high-ranking women who know how to stand back and lift up.
You buy her clothes?
Oh. Well, she hates to shop.
You pick out her clothes? Wow.
Well,
Sort of. Actually.
I have, yes.
Paul, a successful businessman himself, also made sure to avoid any conflicts of interest. He told the Post that he deliberately stayed away from any deals that could look questionable while Nancy held public office. That's not just supportive, that's strategic.
You know, we're professionals. We're professionals.
Now, every marriage has its share of gossip, and the Pelosi's aren't immune. In 2013, Nancy even took a rare day off to celebrate their 50th anniversary, a clear sign she puts their relationship first. Sure, some rumors hinted Paul had a wild streak before Nancy became speaker, but friends say their bond is rock solid.
It's great. It's fabulous.
But life hasn't been without its dark moments. In October 2022, Paul was brutally attacked by David DePape during a home invasion at their San Francisco home. The intruder was reportedly searching for Nancy and planned to harm her. Thankfully, she was in D.C. at the time, but Paul was left with a fractured skull and serious injuries. The attack deeply rattled the family, both for what happened and what could have.
He's so concerned about the traumatic effect on our children and our grandchildren, and we're concerned about the traumatic effect on him.
Thankfully, he received excellent care and support. And by April 2024, Paul shared that he's feeling well following his long recovery from the assault. What a strong family. And since we've already mentioned Doug Emhoff, who, much like Paul Pelosi, chose to stay out of the spotlight while fully supporting his wife's political rise, let's turn to his love story with Kamala Harris and how he's been right by her side through it all.
So my best friend, who was like a sister to me, called me up and she's like, I need you to go out with this guy.
So Kamala Harris met her now husband, Doug Emhoff, thanks to a mutual friend, Chrisette Hudlin, in 2013. Harris shared this story in her 2019 book, The Truths We Hold. Her friend told her about a cute guy in LA named Doug Emhoff and urged her to meet him without Googling him first. Spoiler, she totally Googled him.
You totally Googled him, didn't you?
Ooh, this is a reveal.
I've never been asked that. I did.
A few days later, Emhoff sent her an awkward text while at a basketball game.
And came up with this text, which was something like, "Hey, it's Doug." Awkward.
They exchanged messages and planned to talk on the phone the next day. Emhoff left a long, rambling voicemail that he thought ruined his chances.
I dial the number, of course she doesn't answer. And then I'm like, "Hey, it's Doug." and it's 4 or 5 minutes of that. I'm like, oh my goodness.
But Harris found it endearing. Sometimes it's the imperfect moments that make us fall for someone, right?
He just kept going and going and okay, well, I guess I'll talk to you at some point. And he just kept going. We'd laugh about it, but I did. It's the sweetest thing ever.
They finally talked on the phone, and the conversation flowed effortlessly. Kamala and Doug made plans for dinner in LA that Saturday. Harris was immediately impressed by how genuine and comfortable he was with himself. It was love at first sight.
We were literally talking about our future by the end of that first date, and that next morning I'm sending her an email. Here are my availabilities for the next 6 months. And 10 years later, 11 years later, here we are.
Now that's a guy who's ready to put his heart on the table. Totally the if he wanted to, he would type.
Who said I love you first? And where were we?
He did.
By the way, before Kamala, Doug Emhoff was married to Kirsten Emhoff, née Maken. They hit it off, married in 1992, and had 2 kids, Cole and Ella, before their divorce in 2008. Kirsten once shared with Politico that she was surprised to marry a lawyer, saying, "I like really smart people, and he's incredibly smart."
I was a lawyer. I was actually a Hollywood lawyer for many, many years.
You were a Hollywood lawyer?
I was a Hollywood lawyer, yeah.
Harris, a child of divorce herself, wanted to take things slow before meeting his kids.
You know, children create such attachment. And until I was sure that he and I had something that was real, I didn't want to do that to the kids.
They waited about 2 months, but when she finally met them, Cole and Ella were incredibly welcoming. Harris credits them for reeling her in, even more than Doug did. In her book, Kamala recounts that Emhoff proposed while she was frantically searching for a pair of missing pants. They were about to leave for a romantic vacation to Italy, and she was stressed about packing. Emhoff arrived at her apartment, and after they decided to order takeout, he got down on one knee and proposed. Harris was so focused on her missing pants that she didn't realize what was happening at first. When it finally clicked, she burst into tears and said yes. Oh, it's like a scene straight out of a romantic movie. How cute.
What's a nickname that your husband calls you?
Honey, babe.
The regular.
Yeah.
So Harris and Emhoff tied the knot on August 22, 2014, in a small ceremony officiated by Harris's sister Maya. Emhoff's kids and Harris decided against using the term stepmom, opting for a more affectionate option.
Their word for me is Mamala, and so they call me Mamala.
In 2017, after Harris was elected as one of California's senators, she and Emhoff spent more time in Washington, D.C. Emhoff began teaching law at Georgetown University in January 2020. Then, on January 20th, 2021, Kamala Harris was sworn in as vice president, making Emhoff the first ever second gentleman and the first Jewish spouse of a president or vice president in American history.
So, first of all, I'm married to the first woman ever to hold this role. So first of all, be a really good husband.
He has since championed causes like access to legal aid, fighting anti-Semitism, and reproductive rights. Now that's a power couple making history together.
I was raised to understand that the rights that we fight for will not be permanent unless we are vigilant in fighting for them to continue.